Hey everybody, and welcome to another episode of the powertoku show DX. I am Luis, also known as SentaiSeiya, and with me is...
Josh Reed, also known as Jmann. How is everyone doing?
Pretty good. How about you?
Fantastic.
I'm speaking for everybody, by the way.
Yeah, that's what I assumed. That's what I was assuming.
Yeah. Alright, so today we are going to jump into some Kamen Rider Gaim and talk about some Kyoryuger. I've caught up with the show. We'll talk about that a little bit later. But first, we both write for CollectionDX, and whenever there's some Toku content going up there, we're going to talk about it. So, first off, we are going to talk about this guy.
Godzilla 2000.
Dun dun dun. Godzilla from the Millennium series. So, this is a review by Josh B., owner of CDX. I know most of you have probably seen reviews by him. So he seemed to really like this piece. For him, it's like a sentimental piece. It was a movie he remembers from a part of his life that really brought him joy. So besides the fact that it's an awesome figure, it's just something that really hit home with him, hit him in the heart box. So what'd you think of the review and the figure?
Dude, I haven't had a chance to actually play with the figure, but Josh is amazing at making me want things. I really want to pick this guy up after looking at all of his pictures and stuff. Because I do kind of have a sentimental attachment to Godzilla 2000. Because it was a Godzilla movie in a theater in my lifetime. And I remember as a kid, I saw that it was playing at the theater, and I begged my parents to let me go see it, and they were like, nope, it's going to be too violent. You're too young for one of those kind of violent movies.
Yeah. What was this rated, by the way?
I think it was like PG.
Yeah, that's not bad.
It's either PG or PG-13.
They were like, don't watch this. Go watch a horror movie instead.
Yeah.
Go watch a slasher flick.
They're like, go watch Evil Dead.
Yeah. But no, Josh does an awesome job with his pictures, and he's really good at writing. I mean, there's a reason why the site's become as big as it has. I mean, he's been writing for such a long time. He always nails every single review. So, very cool toy. Awesomely articulated. I think he mentioned that there was like 20 joints in the tail. It's a crap load of joints. I mean, that's more joints than most toys have in their entire body.
Yeah.
Yeah. Only thing he did mention, though, is that since it is basically a sculpt that's cut up, when you bend it back and forward, sometimes you do see some holes in the sculpt. But I mean, that's kind of to be expected with this line, just because of the nature of the organic designs. But I mean, I can't really complain about it too much. It looks awesome. A whole lot of coolness.
Oh yeah, it's very spiky.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
really into
There's a picture,
spiky.
I think, where you can see right through it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, as long as you don't go crazy with the posing and bend them more than he really should be bent, you're not going to see a lot of those holes. So, awesome job by Josh B. And that's pretty much the only piece of Toku content that went up on the site, either news or review.
Yeah, because we're being lazy.
Well, we pick up the stuff that Josh and Adam might not review too much in depth. They do an awesome job at going through the other reviews and the other stuff. I mean, Josh is just a wealth of knowledge, so we'll fill in the cracks here and there, talk about the Kamen Riders and whatnot. So awesome job, and as always, don't forget to check out the site. And although that was the only piece of Toku content that went up on CDX this week, don't forget to check out the site. We have a whole bunch of other reviews. We have a couple Kaisers, some Attack on Titan, a new Gundam. So check out the site and check out some robots.
Check out the Mazen Kaiser review.
Yeah, Jmann does a little special guest piece in that. It's very in-depth. Very, very deep piece of advice if you're thinking about picking up the Mazen Kaiser.
But anyway, we're not here to talk about any of that.
Nope. Today we're going to talk a lot about the shows. Okay, so since I'm finally caught up with the shows, we're going to catch you guys up with what's going on with Gaim. So Kamen Rider Gaim, as you know, all these street dancing teams have Kamen Riders in their midst, and they are basically battling for position to be the #1 street team and the #1 Kamen Rider on the block. So basically Kamen Rider Gaim and his buddy Ryugen hatch a plan to figure out what's going on with the drivers and the lock seeds. And during that process, they kind of dig a little too deep into the Yggdrasil plot and what's going on there. It doesn't involve little kids playing with cards. We'll talk about that later. The show's going very well. A lot of story development. Last week we talked about how Kyoryuger had a lot of story development during the Christmas episodes, and same thing with Gaim. It really pushed the story forward, and it's going into what seems to be a darker part of the story.
Okay, so we'll get a little more in depth with what we liked about this last episode. So I'm giving you a spoiler warning right now. You know, if you don't want to hear any spoilers, you know, skip to a later point in the video. At this point, you should see numbers flashing on the screen. Go to that time, and then we'll be done with spoilers.
All right. So one thing I really liked about the latest episodes is that we find out what happened to Yuya. So for those who don't know, Yuya is the leader of Kamen Rider Gaim's team, Team Gaim, and since the beginning of the show, he's been pretty much MIA. And so we find out that basically Kamen Rider Gaim killed him. He was like one of the first monsters to appear in the show. And he became a monster by eating the fruit and in the Helheim forest. So now we know the power of that and how it can corrupt humans and make them into monsters. And I like the fact that it deals with death. And this is Kamen Rider Gaim dealing with the death of the other writer, Hase-chan, yeah. So basically, it's kind of setting it up to, this is going to really hit him really hard, because he still doesn't know the fact that he killed Yuya. Only Kamen Rider Ryugen, I'm trying to remember his name.
Michi.
Yeah, only Michi knows at this point that basically Kamen Rider Gaim is responsible for Yuya's death. So I definitely like the direction the show's taking. It's got a lot of dynamic elements to it. It doesn't just focus on one writer and one story. There's just a lot of stuff going on. And it deals with death in a very real manner. A lot of Kamen Rider shows just kind of skirt around death. If you remember in Kamen Rider Forze, even though the students become villains, they are basically cast out of the body of the villains. And then once Kamen Rider destroys them, they go back to being their own normal selves. So it's a lot more happy in the way it deals with death. And in this, it's a very real thing. I mean, because of the fact that the Kamen Rider Gaim team has found out about Yggdrasil's plot, I mean, they're pretty much on the chopping block to go. I mean, once they become expendable, they're going to be, you know, killed, basically. So I like that. So what did you like about the show, J-Man?
I was not expecting the outrageously dark turn. I really like that normal people in the world are basically becoming the monsters. That's always one thing that they have to touch on in a Kamen Rider show is, where do the monsters come from? You know, why are the grunts there? Why are the, you know, monster general people there? And this explains that, you know, when people or anything from our world eat the fruit of Helheim, they become those monsters. So it kind of brings more of a depth to what's going on. Instead of, you know, Kamen Riders being the good guys and killing all the monsters, you have to think those monsters are actually people, and like little bunnies and rabbits and things that have just been mutated by.
Are you making Sonic the Hedgehog analogies?
No.
Remember the bunnies and stuff become the robots?
Oh! I completely forgotten about that.
Yeah. So, yeah, I definitely like the fact that it adds that extra, you know, piece to the story where death is a very, very real consequence. It's not just, you know, Kamen Rider kicks and happy endings.
Mm-hmm. I can't wait to see what happens when Kota, who is Kamen Rider Gaim, actually realizes that he's been killing people the whole time. Like, whenever, you know, I mean, I kind of want to see it, but I kind of don't want to see it because of how he reacted to seeing Hase being destroyed.
Yeah, and you can see Michi also protecting him by not letting him find out that Yuya was killed by him, you know? And so it definitely shows a different side of Michi. I don't know if it's a good side. I mean, he does want to protect his friend, but it's also kind of like a devious side to him. I mean, there was a point where he basically told Gaim that he didn't want to go to the police or anybody to find out, you know, to tell him what's going on. But I think that was more to protect himself. So for me, it kind of makes me wonder, like, what are his priorities in this? I mean, obviously he likes the team and he likes Gaim and he likes his friends, but also part of him is trying to protect himself and his relationship with his brother, who is Kamen Rider Zangetsu. So very cool. I mean, I'm really enjoying this show.
Yeah.
And we can talk about the little card thing right now since we're at it. So basically, if you've seen the commercial for this, if you buy a Happy Meal at McDonald's right now, you get Kamen Rider Gambarai cards. It's pretty cool. If you should watch the commercial, the kids are so excited. Like, check it out! I got Baron, and the other kids like, I got Gaim, and I mean, they seem to be pretty happy about the fact that they're just getting a card in their Happy Meal.
Yeah.
I'd be kind of pissed. I'm like, is this it, really? Where's my toy?
Yeah, considering for the latest Power Rangers Happy Meal thing, we got a little Zord and a card.
Yeah, and the Zord became the Megazord, so, I mean... But, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's a really rare, like, Gambarite card. I mean, that thing seems to be pretty popular in Japan, so it could actually be a very good prize. But we're just gaijins talking about stuff we don't know. All right, so what's your favorite rider so far?
I would probably have to say Bravo. Bravo,
yeah, he's awesome. I mean, he's like... I think he's the best wild card in Kamen Rider so far.
You don't know what he's going to do next.
Oh. I mean, they could have definitely gone darker with the tone of the show, and they could have had somebody like Oja, where he was just, a bastard out to kill people.
Yeah.
But it's nice that they made this character who's a pastry chef, and he's a military guy, and he's probably gay.
He's super flamboyant. I think I just love it because of how flamboyant he is.
Yeah. And he's got the speech bubbles popping up whenever he's talking, so...
Sometimes he speaks in French, and so you get a speech bubble saying what he's saying or thinking.
I love when he calls the Kamen Riders by, like, their French name, or Monsieur Banane.
Yeah.
Monsieur Mandarin. He's great. I hope he, like, plays a bigger part in the show.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Because right now he's kind of, like, jumping in here and there, but he's not too prominent.
Yeah.
Yeah. So... I think that's all I have to say about Gaim. How about you?
Okay, guys, so now we're going to talk about the newest episode of Kyoryuger, and we are going to get into spoiler territory here. So, hey, another spoiler alert. If you're not caught up on Kyoryuger and you don't want to get spoiled, skip to the end of this. Once again, numbers flashing, but whatever.
We'll recommend something else you can watch at that point.
Yeah. So this is episode 46. There are 48 episodes in the show total, so it's ramping up. We're getting to the end game portion right here. And what had happened in the last episode is Daigo, who is Kyoryuger, his father came back and then killed their mentor Torin, took his power, and is working for Dayboss. And it blew everyone's minds, well, the people that weren't spoiled by the magazine scans from like 2 months ago. But, it was this big, intense moment where Daigo, swore he'd never forgive him, and, they were all trying to fight. Dayboss was like fully reborn into his ultimate form, and, everything was going super downhill. Until this episode, Kyoryuger confronts his father, who is using the powers of Kyoryu Silver. They're fighting and stuff like that, and turns out Dayboss had decided to go back on his promise that he made to Daigo's father, and to just kill them both, kill humanity, and also destroy the Earth, and all this stuff. So, this stuff that you knew was going to happen anyway, because they're evil.
Yeah, you never trust an evil guy.
Yeah, absolutely. The second you try to make a deal with the big bad of the show, you immediately get turned on.
And there's also the B-plot of this episode where the Dayboss army is going after Aigadon, Lokiero, and Candelera, because they basically kicked out. They've been, called rejects in the army, and they've been kicked out, and really they don't need to be used anymore. So it was kind of neat to see Aigadon sacrifice himself to save the other two. I thought he could have been better developed to lead up to this. He kind of went from bad to good. It was still kind of a heartfelt moment, though, so it was neat.
Well, it wasn't that he, went from bad to good. He'd always been, fond of Candelera, so I guess it's not that he's turning good, he just doesn't want any harm to come to her, so that's why he turns to the Kyoryugers, and, at that point, Ian, who is Kyoryu Black, says, you killed my best friend, you've killed innocent people this entire time, and you want our help now? And Aigaron is just says, I want you to help them. I don't care what happens to me. I don't care if I die. I just want you to save them. And so it becomes this really big heartfelt moment for him to like kind of redeem himself.
And then he ends like, I'm not going to kill you, but he does kill him.
Yeah, he ends up killing him anyway, because it turns out Aigaron was already dead and was just basically a walking corpse with his soul trapped inside. And so Kyoryuger Black was able to like
free his spirit,
punch him a little bit and free his spirit so he could rest easily.
So he didn't kill him, but he did kill him.
Yeah, he didn't kill him, but he killed him.
Yeah.
If that makes any sense.
He probably went to the underworld or whatever. Back where Torin's at, so maybe that'll play into the story somehow.
Well, one thing that definitely did play into the story with the underworld is you find out that Daigo's father, instead of straight up killing Torin, it was part of an elaborate plan to send Torin to the underworld where all the other Deboss monsters are. But Torin still had his, good spirit, or I forgot how they said it in the story, but he still had his goodness in his soul, so he started a rebellion inside the underworld and is just like straight up destroying like everyone who's there.
Which seemed to be just a one-person rebellion, because when they show people fighting, it's basically him against everybody.
Yeah, it's just him just straight up murdering everyone else there, and it's fantastic.
Yeah, so that was very cool how they played into that. I mean, I kind of had a feeling that Torin wasn't going to die.
Well, technically he is still dead, and he's just a spirit right now.
Yeah, but they can always bring him back.
They can always be like, hey, look, I'm a spirit, just like the other spirits we've encountered in the show.
Yeah, so death is not an obstacle in this show.
No, it's not.
As Ramirez has shown us.
Yeah, and SentaiSeiya.
Yeah, SentaiSeiya, yeah. So what'd you think about the design for, what's his face, Deboss, his final form?
I think it's stupid.
We went from like a giant T-Rex kind of crazy looking thing to butterfly dude. I mean,
yeah,
really...
like butterfly starfish mouth.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean it works. I mean, you can't have like something super terrifyingly, I don't know, terrifying for, a kid's show like this, but
I would have preferred like an evolution of the T-Rex though. That would have been cool. Yeah.
I mean, the way he explains it, he says, the T-Rex form was for destroying the dinosaurs, and this form is for eliminating the humans. But,
I mean, how is a butterfly going to take down humanity? It just doesn't make sense to me.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah. Funny thing is, I was watching this episode, and so there's lots of cool action and stuff, and my girlfriend walks in, and she just sees the, what's his name, Deboss in his ultimate form, and she's like, yeah, this is stupid looking. I'm like, no, it's really good. It's just this one design that wasn't that great.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, because the action was really good when you see Eon take on the villain that was trying to kill Aigaron and the other two.
It was the new Soldier of Sorrow, and I can't remember what his name is.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of those two guys.
It doesn't matter. He's dead.
Yeah. So, I mean, good story development. Like, we could have definitely used some better designs, though, with the final form of Deboss. Yeah, so good episode overall. Anything else you want to mention?
No, I really enjoyed it. It's cool to see Daigo, now that he understands the Earth's melody. He knows what they want.
You've seen the Kyoryuger movie, right?
The Gabarincho of Music?
Yeah.
Yes.
Is that where they explain the whole melody thing?
Well, there's a melody for, like, everything.
Because in the show, was it just me, or did it seem like they just kind of dropped it in?
Well, I mean, there's been, like, awaken the music in your soul kind of thing throughout the entire show. About maybe 10 episodes or so, we knew that Daigo's father was searching for the Earth's melody or whatever. So we found that out early on. It's not like they just dropped it on like out of nowhere, like blah blah blah, Earth's melody suddenly appears.
Well, that's what I mean though. Like about 10 episodes ago is when they started talking about it. So I was wondering if that played into the whole music or the musical movie, because I didn't actually see that.
Oh, you should. The movie is really good. Well, that should be one of our recommendations for 1 week.
Yeah. Speaking of movies, if you've been watching the new episodes of Kyoryuger, they've been playing scenes from the new movie. which is supposed to be Go Busters versus Kyoryuger, but it's more like something else. I mean, they show like maybe one clip of the Go Busters and that's it. Instead, we got dinosaurs, dinosaurs, and dinosaurs.
Yeah, basically, this is a reunion-ish movie for Kyoryuger, Zyuranger, and Abaranger. Like, all rolled into one movie, and then there's some Go Buster, like, on the side.
Yeah, I think the only actors they've showed have been the Reds, though, right?
Yeah, I think they've confirmed that the only ones who are appearing are the Reds. Mm-hmm. Or at least I know it's only the actor who plays Geki from Zyuranger. He's the only one who is coming back. Although I do believe the rest of the actors are showing up in voiceover form, but not actually there.
Okay. So still looks like a pretty good movie. Yeah. Be cool to see what they do with it here in the U.S. I mean, I know we've talked about whether or not they're going to bring back Tommy at some point in the future after they do Super Mega Force. So this could be some, a time where they bring back more of the original cast, because they're definitely playing up that nostalgia factor with the new Power Ranger shows. Mm-hmm. So very cool. This is coming out right now in Japan, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's...
I think that says 1/1, so I'm guessing it started airing at the beginning of the year.
It looks like 1/18.
Is it? All right. You could be right. So either way, it started airing at the beginning of the year. So we'll probably see it when the DVD release comes out, and
in the summer.
Yeah, and somebody decides to be nice enough to sub it for us. So very cool. Kind of sad to see the Go Busters get shafted, but it is in their contract that they have to do a movie with the next series. So they obviously had to shoehorn them in, even though it does feel like they're focusing more on the Dinosaur Rangers.
I almost wish they would have made, Kyoryuger versus Go Busters, and it just be, their own movie. And then they had a Kyoryuger and Zyuranger and Abaranger team-up movie and make it something separate.
You know what it could be, though, too, is maybe they have more money set aside for these versus movies than, let's say, when they do a V-Cinema movie. So they had money to spend, and they decided not to blow it all on Go Busters and instead do something else. So yeah, I definitely am sad to see Go Busters not get its due, its full movie, and kind of get pushed aside. But I mean, maybe they're going to actually play a bigger role in the movie. They're just not getting advertised with all these clips. So we'll find out.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's it for shows. All right, so now we're into the recommendation portion of the show. And today we're going to talk about something a little bit different. It's kind of a kid's show, but most of these are. It's Kankyo Chojin Ecogainder.
Ecogainder!
ZETTAI! Which in Spanish is por supuesto.
Ecogainder! Por supuesto!
Yeah. We got a screen cap from the Spanish sub, which I didn't even know existed.
Hey, this show is super popular all over the world.
Teaching kids everywhere to be conscious of the environment. All right, so Ecogainder is basically this show about a superhero that comes from the future. He gets sent back in time by this scientist with a huge afro. That's all I remember about him, is he had a huge afro. He also had a pretty cute assistant too, actually. So I remember two things.
Yeah.
And so he comes back to the past, or our present, to teach one family for some reason to be, more green, to recycle, to not waste water and all that stuff. You would think he would spread his message instead of just following a single family, but I guess even the little things matter when you're trying to save the environment. So every episode kind of plays out just about the same. The family does something wasteful. They use disposable plates or something, or they use napkins to clean a spill, or they leave the water running when they're doing the dishes.
They make their house temperature slightly colder than it should be.
Yeah, they're blasting that AC in the middle of the summer. And then these two villains pop up out of this magical pot, and they're basically like rejects from Yatterman. Their names were Hakais and Mudana, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
And so they're basically just there to egg the family on to make them, do more wasteful things. But of course our hero, Ecogainder, shows up, and he teaches them better. And that's pretty much all there is. After that, the villains and the hero Ecogainder have a little dialogue. They go to this area somewhere and they fight. I mean, it's always like a short battle. There's some story development in the later episodes, but nothing too deep. It's a fun show, though. I mean, not something I would watch all the way through in one shot. They're short, like little 5-7 minute episodes, but you can watch a couple and get a good laugh. What'd you think about the show?
Oh, it is such fun. It's so much fun to watch, especially whenever he finishes every fight with the ecology beam.
Yeah.
And it cleans the air around the villains, so they can't. So they freak out and they decide to leave.
Yeah, they can't stand the clean environment.
It's basically like a Japanese Captain Planet.
Yeah, very, very short and sweet. And also, the intro is done by Masaki Endo, which is awesome.
Yeah, if we owned the rights to that song, boy, we would let you hear it.
Yeah. I mean, Masaki Endo can basically sing the name of any show and make it sound awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for those who don't know, he is the singer of, or one of the singers of Jam Project, and they do a lot of anime and TV show music. So it's got that going for it. So definitely would recommend this show. You know, a couple episodes at a time. I wouldn't watch more than that. The storyline or the story structure of each episode does get a little repetitive, but it's good for a fun, 10-15 minute time waster. And that's, I think, all we have to say about Ecogainder.
Yeah.
And don't forget to recycle.
Yeah. Don't forget to recycle and keep your house at 18 degrees Celsius.
Yep.
So, guys, that'll pretty much do it for this show. We want to thank you guys for tuning in. And if you guys have any questions or feedback or anything, be sure to email us at powertoku@collectiondx.com. You can also follow the show on Twitter at powertoku. But if you want to get in touch with us personally, you can find me on Twitter at JMannDX with 2 N's. And where can they find you?
At SentaiSeiya, also at Twitter. And, yep, pretty much it.
Yeah.
Cool. And that's it for the show. We'll see you guys around.
Peace.
Bye-bye.